Wolfman's got nards. Have you seen Monster Squad? Because I actually just saw it for the first time last night. This movie came out in 1987 and was directed by Fred Dekker and was co-written by someone you might know. It was co-written by Fred Dekker himself, but also Shane Black. Shane Black was very busy, it seemed, in 1987. It seemed a lot of things were coming out that year. He also wrote Lethal Weapon, but also at the same time he starred in Predator. And so there was a lot of things going on with Shane Black, and honestly, I know he's working currently right now on a Predator reboot, and I can't wait to see what's going on with that. But let's talk about Monster Squad. This movie is absolutely hilarious, and this movie is absolutely a silly movie that came out in 1987, and it's really short. It's only like about 87 minutes or so. It's 82 minutes, whatever, 5 minutes off. But it's a really short movie. I can tell this movie lacked a certain little bit of a budget. However, they really made up for it in the dialogue, and that's something about Shane Black that I really enjoy. So let me talk a little bit about the plot of this movie. I'll give you some of my pros and some of my cons, and then I will be throwing in lots of one-liners at you this entire time. Alright, so this movie is it's just so silly, some of the one-liners that happen. It starts off with, they're in Transylvania. Obviously there's a pan over with every 100 years this thing keeps occurring where Dracula and other monsters such as the Loch Ness Monster, the Mummy, the Wolfman, and also Frankenstein's monster. Whoa, sorry. I guess I can't be saying Frankenstein's monster. But they're trying to stop Van Helsing, and they're trying to get this amulet. That way they can break free, and they don't have to break free of this curse that they can just keep being here. And so, fast forward to modern day, obviously, and so this is about to occur within the week. Dracula has woken up from his coffin and he's going to America to try and find this amulet, which apparently Van Helsing sent over to America. All right, so I'm just setting up all this stuff. So they're coming over to America. Now the kids are they're in middle school and junior high, or a little bit less in elementary school. Some of them are pretty young. And just the dialogue in this movie is just so silly. Like the opening scene is the two kids, two of them are in the principal's office, and they got in trouble because they called one of their teachers Meow Mix because her face looked like a cat. And I'm like, oh my god, this is totally 80s. Kind of just people just offend each other constantly in the 80s and just name call each other. And it's just the funniest thing to me because just seeing that time capsule is just super silly. But also at the same time, the principal himself he's just like really understanding. He's like, you know what? I get it, man. He's like, science is cool. And the kids are like, huh. And like he was getting way too close to him. And then like when they walked out, he's just like, the kids were like, I think he's a homo. I don't know. He was getting a little too close, and also like science school. Like, what the hell is that crap? So fast forward a little bit. These two kids meet the other squad members of the Monster Squad. So pretty much they're friends. There's about 5 of them. There's a beagle, and there's also a little girl who as well. One of the kids. It's their 5-year-old sister. And this person is actually my favorite person in the entire film because her one-liners are just insanely stupid and insanely like, what? So for instance, the first time we meet her, she says something like, yeah, something about Korea, and she's like, no, it's war in Vietnam. It's in Rambo. Like, and she's 5 years old, and like, I can't obviously impersonate her, but she sounds adorable, but at the same time, she's so sincere about her answers, and it's just the silliest thing. So this team meets in this clubhouse, and they're trying to figure out, they're just like, they're just super into monsters. Like, well, how many ways to kill a werewolf? There's 2 ways to kill a werewolf, right? Like, yeah. It's like, and they're all like, okay, yeah, so silver bullets. And then they're like, well, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, two ways to kill a werewolf, silver bullets. The story progresses as they get this book from Van Helsing. Somehow one of the kids attains, and then they go to this really creepy German guy, and they pretty much were like, because they're scared of him. They're like, what? Like we don't know how to speak German, but we were gonna go talk to this guy, that way he can help translate. And he fed him pie, and pretty much was being kind of creepy, but at the same time, he's just like, yeah, this is what it says. Every 100 years, the forces of darkness, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, on this date. Oh, that's tomorrow's date. And then they're like, tomorrow's date? Oh my god, Dracula. Meanwhile, the main kid's father, who's actually the head of police, is currently dealing with a situation where this man keeps telling, you know, like, he's like, I'm the Wolfman, like, I'm a werewolf, like, you gotta lock me up, and he's super over the top and ridiculous, courtesy of the 80s. And it's just the silliest thing, but also at the same time, you can't take it too seriously. So they're currently clashing. You can see things are unfolding. They're gathering up. Count Dracula is trying to gather his forces, pretty much, for this date that's happening. So these kids figure out what's going on. Eventually they run into some of these monsters, and then hilarity and also ridiculous things ensue. The first person to show up really is actually Frankenstein's monster, who Count Dracula actually woke up on a specific mission to go to talk to the kids and actually just get the book from them, and by any means necessary. That means he potentially could kill them. And so from there, he meets the little girl, and this is one of the best one-liners in the entire movie, and I'm going to butcher it, so I'm going to look it up real quick before I actually say it. So the 5-year-old girl shows Frankenstein's monster to the kids, and all the kids just run. And comically, kind of just like hiding. And then she says, "It's okay, you guys, he's friendly. Don't be little chicken shits." And that, coming from a 5-year-old girl, is one of the funniest things ever. And I can tell Shane Black wrote that line, most likely, because he is really known for his witty dialogue and also at the same time just being absolutely ridiculous and silly. And so, when you meet Frankenstein's monster, especially the first time you meet her, it's actually a homage to the original Frankenstein. She's playing by the river. And Frankenstein, that's the first time you met a child in the original Frankenstein. I digress. That was a really cool homage to Frankenstein, but also at the same time, they made a really silly twist out of it. So they meet Frankenstein's monster. They kind of become friends with Frankenstein's monster, just going around town trying to figure out things. Frankenstein's monster's constantly saying some things like, they get him up in the clubhouse initially, and they're looking through the window of this one girl, and this is something that the 80s is known for as well, seeing a girl kind of undress, and Frankenstein's like looking through the binoculars like, boobies. And I'm just like, oh man, like, he knows what those are, and it's a silly movie. Let me talk less about the plot, because I'm kind of going all over the place. So, some of my pros of this movie. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I just saw it last night for the first time. I can't believe I haven't seen this movie. I've seen parts of this movie, sure, but I've never seen it all the way through. I think this movie is actually pretty fun, and honestly, I probably would have enjoyed it a little bit better with some friends. However, this movie, the pacing was a very quick movie. The cinematography was fairly well. The editing was shot pretty well. I thought that some of the parts were, like, especially one particular scene, that I thought the editing was just like, that's hilarious, but also at the same time, like, that's good editing right there. It was one part where the main kid gets the German book. Oh my gosh, this is Van Helsing, this is great! And then he looks at it, this is German. And then it just cuts off right there, and it goes directly to another scene for something else. He can't read German, and just the timing of it was just so perfect. And I just thought it was just a hilarious thing to add in this film. And I think, if I recall, they had a lot of time restraints for this entire movie. And a lot of the costume designs were actually really cool as well. The only thing that I would have a problem with was Wolfman looked a little buggy. But besides that, all the other costumes looked fairly good, and I think for the budget, I think it was pretty neat. And I think all of the creatures were utilized pretty well, even though it was kind of a silly 80s movie. So what about the cons? There's a couple of cons in this movie as well. Like I said, it was short and sweet. I think the budget may have played into the role. Some of the characters you didn't really care too much about, but this is not one of those types of movies where you have to really invest in any characters. But this movie has heart, and so overall, I would say this movie doesn't have as much flaws as it should. Now, it is choppy, and also, I mean, it's got a low budget, like I said, but also at the same time, some of the things that aren't present, some of the camera work and costume design, a lot of that isn't really as detrimental to this movie. It's just a fun, enjoyable film. And I think really you could just sit around with some friends and really just watch it. So what does this give? What do I give this movie? I give this movie a 4 out of 5. I thought this movie was really fun, fantastic. I can't wait to watch it again, hopefully with friends in maybe a year's time when it's Halloween again or like October. And so I want to hear your thoughts down below, what you thought of Monster Squad if you've ever seen it before. I know this review was a little long, and I apologize for that. But give me a like, comment below, don't forget to share, and also don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you next time. I'm not joking around.